City of Stevens Point Personnel Committee meeting, recorded November 10, 2025.
It is 6:04. I am calling the Personnel Committee in order. Mary has asked me to step in today since she is remote. Hope you're feeling better soon, Alderperson Kneebone. We have just one thing on the agenda today. Before we get started, Manager Frosch, could we have the roll, please?
Kneebone?
Here.
Broderick?
Here.
Boozy?
Here.
Guthrie?
Here.
Steinmetz?
Here.
All right, and our one and only agenda item today, request to transition electrical inspector position from 32 to 40 hours.
Good evening. So there's a memo in your packet, so I will keep it brief. Looking to request a transition of the electrical inspector position from 32 to 40 hours, so full-time. This request is coming for a multitude of reasons. We are looking at some upcoming anticipated projects that will be quite large. We are already trying to dig ourselves out of a backlog from this building season, so trying to plan for those upcoming, as well as dig ourselves out from that backlog. Succession planning, we do have a recent retirement that will be completed in January. So the loss of that institutional knowledge and just kind of the all-around experience will hurt our department a little bit. We have some great staff stepping in, filling those positions, but it will take a little more time to review projects, look up code, handle issues, things like that. Just to be expected as you have somebody a little bit newer to the role stepping in. Also, just ease of recruitment. I know we've talked with HR Manager Frosch, and we've had very few qualified individuals in the last times we've posted these positions, anywhere from one to three. And obviously, those 1 to 3 have their own difficulties. So, multitude of different reasons for making this request. Proposed change will have a approximate $24,000 annual increase. To cover those financial impacts, we are looking at increasing our fees, or just fee restructuring, making sure that we are being made whole for those projects. I know that was a request from one of the alders earlier this year as well. But then also just the future tax base from those anticipated projects and the building permit revenue fees from those projects. Not all would be coming to us, just a portion to cover these costs. So looking for, the transition of that position from 32 to 40 hours.
Any questions for the director?
I do have questions, but first I'll move approval.
I'll second.
First by Guthrie, second by Steinmetz. Go ahead.
Thank you for putting this forward. I want our community to have responsiveness from our staff when they're working on projects that contribute to the growth, right, and vitality of our community. So thank you. What is the deficit between where we'll be after the approval of this request and what would make us excellent in terms of our responsiveness? And do we have a plan to attend to those staffing gaps if you tell me that there will still be gaps?
We do anticipate there being gaps still. We are fighting, I think I indicated the last time this question came up, we're fighting trying to be full staff and see how that fully plays out before requesting truly additional staff. I know during COVID we had some unique instances where there were just a lot of permits coming in. That's a bit abnormal. So of course we're going to struggle through that time. We were at full staff earlier this year. We had trained, we had some overlap, which was great, but then we had an unexpected departure and then a 2.5 month gap that resulted in us falling behind, as it was one of our front admin staff. So it's been unfortunate that we haven't stayed full staff to really truly evaluate where we're at. I know when we did have the electrical inspector temporary full-time, an additional 8 hours to try to help learn the permitting system, they were able to assist with that. Did that catch us up? No. Was it a resolve? No, but it did help. So I do anticipate there still being a gap, but I can't tell you the significance of the gap until we're fully, at full staff for a year or two. So,
thank you for that, and that nuance makes total sense. I appreciate being caught up on where we're at and where we anticipate being. My only other question is permit percentage anticipated changes related to, you said that was primarily how we in the long-term plan to pay for this. What can community members anticipate in terms of our fee schedule changing?
Yeah, increases, I guess, to say the least. Not on everything. Minimal on residential. It would be more looking at the commercial industrial permit fees to make sure we're being made whole there. We've evaluated a few recent projects. I won't name which ones, but looking at what we charge for the fee versus how many times we actually went on site, it did not exactly match up. So really the increase you're going to see is in the commercial end. And that's really to be made whole. It's not to be making revenue. If you ask our attorney, we cannot legally really do that. But we're looking to make ourselves whole, calculate the average time that it's taking on different permits, things like that. So, yeah.
Thank you, Jane.
Any other questions or comments from committee or the public? Go ahead.
Andrea Olson, 410 Franklin Street. So I didn't understand why this was needed. I tried to figure this out quickly, and my Google search results said the city of Stevens Point, Wisconsin does not have a public online accessible database of monthly or historical building permit reports. These are typically found on neighboring municipalities' websites like Plover's. Why should we, the taxpayers, fund a full-time position? I don't see any quantifiable data in the presentation. A couple of questions were just answered. And so since I couldn't find the permits quickly on our city's website, I looked at the Wisconsin Department of Safety and Professional Services site for their number of UDC permits issued. 2022, 0.17, Plover 61. 2023, 0.24, Plover 68. 2024, 0.10, Plover's 59. 2025 so far, 0.32, Plover 68. Why is this difference? Maybe Plover has more staffing. No, that's not the case. Point has 11 positions to Plover's 7 positions, and 3 of Plover's employees have 2 to 3 roles of firefighter and fire inspector or assistant to answering calls for the building inspector and fire department. 7 people easily doing the jobs of 13. Also, let's consider that Plover has about twice as many permits than Point. So for Point to do the work that Plover does effectively, or that Plover effectively performs right now, they would need 26 employees. Is hiring an additional full-time person the way that Point is going to meet the Wisconsin statute 66.10014, the goal of reducing the time and cost of approving new residential subdivisions by 20%? I don't think so. We are throwing more money at a bigger problem, a problem our current director didn't create. He did not do that. He's newer. It's a problem that past directors didn't create. This is a leadership problem. Ryan, our last community development director, was encouraged to leave by our mayor when he tried, and also he was trying to pursue and push 100% online permit using the GovPilot portal. We are just considering this still. This is years later. This is how Plover states they are meeting the 20% goal for themselves. The modernization of permits, applications, and review process. They've been successful too. I'm pretty sure Ryan helped implement this in Plover, and then leadership here pushed back. We have consistent backlogs of permit delays. Our ordinances also create procedural delays, creating this backlog. Luckily, these will hopefully be reduced by the zoning code rewrite. However, prior to adding another person, maybe Point could talk to Plover. What are you doing and what aren't we doing? Plover, all permits must be placed online. This saves staff time. All commercial electrical and plumbing permits, plan review, and inspections are to be done through the State of Wisconsin DSPS or designee. They don't do all the permits that Point takes on. Would there be cost savings doing that? Would it speed things up for both our residential and commercial permitting process? Could this also make it more friendly, make us more of a business-friendly or city, I guess? Why do they do this? Well, or what else? Plover's 2 inspectors are also have the credentials to do fire inspections. So when they go to look at a building, they're looking at it for both the building permit. They could also be looking at it for the fire inspection. Instead, we send out staff from the fire department to do that fire inspection and our staff from building department. It would take a significant change here to change those roles and get the people qualified to be able to do both. However, Plover's building plans also get reviewed by the state versus in-house. Based on the structural size, the state has to be involved for some, or for many commercial ones, but not all. If making the inspector position full-time, I'd like to see additional roles added to it to ensure the individual is going to be utilizing all 40 hours a week. Ensure the person has stipulations in their contract that if they are getting certifications paid for something, the certifications or future certifications need to be completed by a certain date and have reimbursement based on how long they're staying with the community. If they leave, they need to pay back credentialing, if that is part of what would be included in a package. And we don't have unlimited resources. We need to start looking at efficiencies in all of our departments. We need to stop throwing more money and additional staff at our procedural problems that we've created. So there are many things that we could also look at instead of just jumping on to let's make a position full-time to get back to having a very fluid permitting process. Let's do a bit more. But if you need to approve it now, approve it, but then have some stipulations that other things need to be looked into too.
Thank you. One question for the director. Would you be willing to speak to any challenges or difficulties with trying to have more permits go through with a potential online route? It sounds like that has maybe been pending for a bit.
Yeah, that is our intent of doing. So, I mean, to Andrea's point, that is something that certainly should be implemented. It is an efficiency in the process, and it is something that truly would help the department. We do need to restructure some of the permit applications and then work with GovPilot, our permitting software, to implement that. And we've already started talking with our IT department about getting a kiosk out front so that if somebody doesn't have access to a computer or online, they can certainly still come in, use that kiosk, and apply for the permits. So something we are definitely looking at. Yeah, I guess I'm happy to try to speak on some of that, but I don't know that I'm fully prepared to speak on every topic just hearing it now today. So,
Of course. Thank you.
If we could circle back to the financial impact for just a second. It states in here that staff anticipates offsetting the impact through a combination of increased building permit revenues, future tax base growth, and fee restructuring. Do you anticipate covering all 24,000 with those changes in a couple of years, or do you think it'll just be a partial offset?
we would anticipate covering all 24,000 with those changes. With the fee restructuring, so we are a delegated community, which does add a bit of workload. And again, making ourselves whole, we would be looking at adopting the state fee schedule, which we would just stay in line with them, so the cost would be the same to whether you're going through the state or the city. The benefit of the city staying delegated is we do it faster. The state is low on staff as well, inspections as well as reviewers. So they typically take anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks, whereas we can get it done in about 2 to 3. Having, I guess, our inspection staff at their full capacity allows us to process those permits quicker, just in general. But then when it comes to the review, too, we are quicker than the state. So.
Thank you, Director. Any last comments from the committee?
I have a quick question for the director. So basically you're saying it's a little bit of expense in the short term, but in the long run, it will pay off.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, we do have a motion to approve on the floor. All those in favor would indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed would be no. And that passes. Our agenda is adjourned at 6:19 p.m.